Right now.
Yes. I'll call the meeting of the select board. It's 6 o'clock and we'll do the approval minutes. If you're okay.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of January 7th, 2026.
I'll second.
Did you have some changes? Did you?
No, I have questions about stuff. I wasn't here. So
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what went on there. Only the Bailey flat is
Yes.
misspelled.
EY, yeah, Bailey Flat, and on the login, I know people spell login a million,
They keep
but.
different.
Even the maps spell it 17 different ways. No one knows.
Yeah,
Strange. Anyway, so there's a motion by Chris, second by Kayla.
okay.
But as amended, because clearly we want to be grammatically correct.
For Bailey.
To approve the minutes of the last meeting, January 7th. And I have to say, I wasn't here. So all those in favor?
Mark.
Yes.
Mark's in.
Favor.
Hello.
Next is to recognize the Monmouth Police Department's community policing efforts by the University of Maine at Augusta.
Good evening, everyone, and Mr. Chair, Town Manager Poirier, and members of the public here and on Zoom. My name is Noel March. I'm a faculty member at the University of Maine at Augusta in Justice Studies, and I direct the Maine Community Policing Institute at the University of Maine at Augusta. We're here for a very auspicious few minutes of recognition for the men and women of the Monmouth Police Department. It was 2 years ago that, in earnest, across Maine, an undertaking was launched in delivering community policing education to all 3,000 police officers of the state of Maine, one department at a time, a few officers at a time. But I want to congratulate and recognize, we're going to hear from the president of the University of Maine Augusta in just a moment, but I want to recognize these officers for the commitment they have achieved under the direction of and the leadership of Paul Ferland. I'm very sad that my friend and colleague, Chief Ferland, has the flu and is home tonight. He may be tuning in, I'm not sure, but I'll say all nice things, I promise. He and I have known each other for a few decades. But I just want to mention that community policing is a philosophy, a strategy, and an approach that builds trust between police and the communities they serve. Partnerships to solve problems, address issues proactively, focus on prevention, have a victim-centered and a community-centered approach to taking care of the issues, whether it be crime, fear of crime, or social disorder issues that can sometimes lead to crime. And here you have a police department, and present today are your lieutenant and your officers that make up this small but mighty force. And they're going to be recognized here by the University of Maine at Augusta with a special award for having every member of this police department complete community policing education, only the third department in the entire state of Maine out of 110 law enforcement agencies to do so. I would like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Cushman, the president of the University of Maine at Augusta, who's here with us tonight for a special recognition. Dr. Cushman.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, members of the Monmouth Police Department and the community. Tonight, the University of Maine at Augusta is proud to recognize the Monmouth Police Department with our UMA 100% Award for Community Policing Education. This award is presented to departments where every sworn officer has completed UMA's Community Policing Certificate. That matters because it means this department shares a common approach to serving this community. It reflects shared training and expectations and a shared commitment to working with residents as partners. Community policing is not just a concept. It's about how officers show up every day, how they build trust, and how they work with residents, local organizations, and municipal partners to address challenges together. At UMA, workforce development means preparing people to serve their communities well, whether in public safety, education, healthcare, or government. Our role is to support the people Maine communities rely on every day. This program is a strong example of that work. Monmouth is the third community in the state to receive this recognition, following Rockland and Winthrop, and it reflects leadership at every level of this department. On behalf of the University of Maine at Augusta, thank you to the Monmouth Police Department for your commitment to this community, and congratulations on a well-earned recognition.
If we could indulge you, maybe take a photograph with the council or with the Board of Select people. If you don't mind, if you remain seated, perhaps the officers could stand behind you.
Sure.
And we have a photographer of our own that we brought, if you don't mind.
Where do you want us?
And why don't you stand on the sides and behind
Okay.
members of the Board of Selectmen, as well as the other members of the department. I want to point out that Rose is new, hasn't completed the course and the program yet, but she's just enrolled. So I have her as a student beginning actually this week. So if you guys want to get on the other side over here, I'll stand with you too.
Do you want to sit down?
Yeah, I know.
So we're all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe if we could tighten it up just a little bit.
Come this way a bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it on three. Ready? 1, 2, and I take a call. All right.
Awesome.
Good deal. Thank you very much for indulging us. And congratulations to the Monmouth Police Department. Thank you.
Congratulations. Gonna be the budget guy tonight, right?
You guys are all welcome.
Headlights. You're put on the spot.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for your service and be safe out there.
You guys.
Thanks, Dina.
Mentioned that.
I'm Kayla. Nice to meet you.
Thing on the agenda is department reports.
I'm really the only one here. Dennis will get to talk if he's gonna do his budget, so you don't want to give him 2 times.
You have too much fun with 2 times.
I forwarded this letter to you from the MOCA, the Maine Office of Community Affairs, that they have accepted the comprehensive plan. I know you all received an email from
Yes.
Steve O'Donnell, but
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that, but you've already seen that, but that's all set. I also received,
Justin, before we move on, can we make sure that that goes on to our website?
yeah, I can add that.
Okay.
Yep, if you'd like to. I also received I also received a letter from Senator Susan Collins that the 3.55 million that she helped secure in the has been included in the 2026 Interior and Environment Appropriations Bill, and it has cleared the House and the Senate, and it is on the president's desk. So that's good news for the North Monmouth Water Project.
That is the final, Rick,
Right, that's the final amount that's needed. So
to actually continue work. They're continuing with the limited funding that they have, but that'll take us to the finish line. And as I understand it, what they're working on now is the construction document, basically. Exactly where the pipeline would go. And then mapping that out very specifically so it stays away from other things.
Then I understand Dan Wells is still involved because
Oh, good. I
He
hadn't
is.
heard that one.
working for Dirigo Engineering.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. I was a little worried because he there was no,
Retired.
yeah, he'd retired from the Water Association. And so someone new was coming in, but I'm glad he's
But
working
it's
for the engineer.
somebody new but not new,
Right.
because it's Aaron Chase,
Okay, cool.
so is the new Winthrop Water District.
And where does Aaron come from?
Aaron's from Monmouth.
Okay,
Reverend Chase is his
Okay.
grandson, so.
so I know that they're working on that construction documentation phase of this project. And we're just waiting to hear if the president signs that budget. If he does, then that means we fill the budget gap, the remaining budget gap on that project. And they will start to ramp up quickly in moving forward. And just FYI for folks who are listening at home or here in the audience, that is a review of the past history. That's an effort that started in 2020 when the board approved some ARPA funding, some seed money to look at the feasibility of this and apply for a few grants to get it done. The design of the project is 3 different loops. There would be a loop of water main that would go down North Main Street from 202 and go all the way to Wilson Pond Road, cross the bridge there, and then go up the hill. What's the name of that road again?
Highland Terrace?
There's a loop for Highland Terrace specifically, but it's, what's the hill?
Blaisdell Hill.
Blaisdell Hill, there we go, Blaisdell Hill. It'll come up over Blaisdell Hill and go back to 202. And then the third loop would be a loop that goes from the intersection of New Street and North Main, up New Street and around the corner, past the fire station and down Wilson Pond Road and back to the new main that would be at the intersection of Wilson and North Main Street. So 3 separate loops. The reason you have to do loops is because that's what keeps the water fresh. Water doesn't like dead ends. And so I'm optimistic, but we've got one more step here. It looks like it's going to be like a 10 or $11 million project in that neighborhood.
Dan Roy is online. I guess he made it to Vermont. So if you would like, he can give a department report for the fire.
Yeah, and then I think we have a general consensus that we'd probably like to have at least a discussion of what our executive session was about earlier
Okay.
this week.
Yeah, you want to do that during select board reports? Or?
Okay, yep.
So, Dan?
Yeah,
There he
hi,
is. Hold on,
Justin.
let me move this out of your way so they can see your beautiful face. There we go.
I made it to Vermont, but I'm stuck on the side of a highway here. So 10 minutes from the hotel, but that's all right. So just wanted to touch base, give a quick department head report. I know I've been pretty absent, so I wanted to take this opportunity, especially tonight. I believe I'll be presenting my budget, so I wanted to chime in. First, just want to congratulate Chief Ferlin and Lieutenant Westland and all the other officers. It's quite the achievement for their community policing achievement. So congrats to them. Third in the state. That's awesome. As far as the fire department, we continue to be busy. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I believe we did about 25 calls last month in December. This month already, I think we're up around 10 or 12 calls. So we're continuing to stay pretty steady. Yesterday, we had crews out, mutual aid to Litchfield for a structure fire. They lost a garage, but fortunately they saved the house. So great job by all responding departments to that town. Last Thursday, we did our mandatory BLS training, Bureau of Labor Standards. We had about 30 in attendance. So proud of that, to see that much commitment show up on an evening. We got a few stragglers that will do the online training just to get that completed so that we're 100%. This past Sunday, I attended the Firefighter 1 and 2 banquet that was held in Winthrop. We had several firefighters that completed their Firefighter 1 and 2. I know that sounds like a broken record. I've been talking about this for 6 months, but that's how long it takes. Over 200 hours of training, and very proud of all our firefighters that successfully completed that program. Again, I'll remind you that saved the town about $10,000 in training because Chief Dan Brooks from Winthrop Fire put in for a grant and was able to get us, this training free for all of us to attend. So I thought that was really great for us to take that opportunity to get that those certifications. I registered for the annual Maine Fire Chiefs Association annual conference. It's going to be held in Sunday River the end of March. It's a 3-day conference. I'll be up there for 2 nights, and they got several great seminar topics that they'll be covering. So I'm looking forward to that. And the last thing I have is just an update on our repeater. I think I reported last time that it was successfully installed. However, we found out in a recent power outage that we have a feature with the new piece of equipment that doesn't have the alert beep to it. So when it loses power and it's on battery backup, it doesn't have that feature. So we're in the process of getting that installed by Derigo Wireless. Unfortunately, that's going to be another additional expense. I was not aware that the new equipment did not come with that programming, but it's probably going to be about $1,500 to $1,700. But it's an integral piece of equipment that we need to have that backup feature alert so that we know when it goes down and it's on battery. What happened a few weeks back, we had lost power for almost 20 hours up on Norris Hill, and we were on battery backup for a couple of days, and we never got the alert or the beep. We basically tripped the circuit in the receptacle that the repeater equipment's plugged into. So in the past, we used to have a chirp at the end of a transmission, and that's how we knew we were on battery backup. And the reason why that's important is we don't have a standby generator up there. So we need to go up there and connect our equipment to a portable generator if we're going to be more than, a day or two. We've got a couple batteries that will get us through a couple days, but if we go, with another ice storm and we're out for a few days, we need to be able to bring a generator to back up our repeater. So that'll be something we'll be working on in the next couple of weeks to get that scheduled and get that finalized, and then I think we'll be all set with that equipment. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And that's all I got, unless you have any questions for the fire department. All right.
Dan, how's chimney fire season going?
Thanks for jinxing us. So knock on wood, it's been pretty good actually. I guess everybody's keeping their chimneys cleaned and serviced, and knock on wood, we haven't had a chimney fire yet. But now that we got the cold snap coming this weekend, I'm sure we'll be out there on a roof in 20 below zero weather. So thanks, Kent. I'll make sure to call you when that happens. All right, thank you. I'll talk to you guys in a
Thank
little bit.
you. Anything else? Here we go. Okay. On to select board reports.
We had a meeting of the Economic Development Committee 2 nights ago, and then a meeting of the Trails Committee. Reporting out of the Trails Committee is that we're working on formulating the RFP, getting it approved by the state trails people. This is the RFP for the new trail being built behind the 2 schools here and around the athletic field. As far as the Economic Development Committee, we started working on our TIF budget for 26-27. We had a few questions. I think Reagan is going to come back to you with some questions on accounting stuff, like where are these transactions, so that we have an accurate number. We do have a category. It turns out we do have a category that would be eligible for TIF funding for property for the town to acquire property in the TIF district downtown. Reagan seems to think, and she'll talk to you a little bit more about it, Justin. I think you might have gotten led astray by the state economic development people who are prone to be, the no people. But we do have a category that's been untapped yet, and with a budget of about $145,000 in it. So she seemed pretty confident that that would be a category that we could tap into if we're going to acquire dilapidated property in the downtown TIF district area. I'll talk to her about. The other news, I think maybe some of the folks in the audience are wondering about our executive session this past week. Sounds to me like we made an offer on a property that's in very difficult shape in the downtown area that was up for sale on the market. This is we found out today that we've been able to put it under contract And of course, being under contract doesn't mean we've purchased it. It just means that now would be the time for us to go talk to the voters about, through a special town meeting to, approve acquiring the property. It's the only property at the end of, was it Rover Street?
The bridge thing?
Yes.
The bridge that is about to fall apart?
Yeah. Now that you say that, I know, I'm aware.
Sure. And the bridge that, if past experience lends any, truth to the matter, the bridge would cost about $300,000 to replace. So, and because it's a public way, the town will be on the hook for that. So, stay tuned. We wanted folks to know as soon as, we had the legal contract, executed. We didn't want to be, we wanted to be as transparent as possible, in that transaction.
Did you offer full asking or?
Oh, no, I think the contract calls for $65,000.
And closing costs for the, and the broker fees for the town would pay the broker fee.
Yeah.
For the seller.
So, so there's that.
Two questions about some things that probably because I wasn't at the last meeting. The North Monmouth Beach, is that still
We're still working through that.
the two camp abatements for Chippewa and Cobussy?
They haven't moved anywhere with that yet.
And there was something mentioned in the minutes about more work on the Beaver Brook culvert.
Oh, no, it was just that I have now that the project's done, I've filled out the paperwork to receive the 150,000 from the state and it's been approved. So we're just waiting for the check. No more work. We're done. We would just like to get our 150,000 from the state.
It looked like it was all done.
Yeah, it's all done. So
And on the transfer station business. I know there was something about this fee schedule. I don't know if, I guess Tony is working on.
we are prepared. Tony's budget reflects some suggested changes for you, and that also includes recommendations for changes to the fee schedule. So when he's here at, I think it's your next meeting on February 4th, that's his budget day, and we're prepared to talk about that at that time. But yes, there'll be some suggested changes to the fee schedule and to the operations of the transfer station.
And Calderwood Engineering is no longer the company doing the Annabesco Dam.
That's correct.
Thank God.
We're working with a different engineer right now. Wendy is kind of going back and forth, and we're trying to nail down what it is that they can provide, a way that they can provide more information to us with the remaining money that we have, so that we can get the most out of the first grant, so that then we can have as much done as possible to make our application for another round hopefully successful. So we're kind of working through that right now. He thought we had everything that we needed. Wendy's not completely satisfied, so she's kind of working through some technical stuff that I don't really understand. So but she keeps me posted on kind of how that's going. I don't really
She's getting
understand all the
responses.
questions. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's very good at it. She's done a number of dams.
Right, exactly. I don't understand all the water flow questions that she's posing to these people. I'm ignorant of that. That field, I don't understand it. So, yeah.
The audit,
Yep.
how's that?
Mark will be finished with his portion of it. He told me, I believe it was yesterday, the day before, that he expects to be complete by the end of the month. And at that time, it'll be transmitted.
So when will we?
I don't know.
You were gonna reach out to the auditor?
I did reach out, but they're working on end of year for their audits with companies that finish their year on December 30. So they're not sure at this point. I couldn't get a solid answer. He said if we needed it sooner rather than later. He gave me a couple of other auditors. Pushing auditors is a hard thing to do because there are virtually no municipal auditors left in the state that are taking new clients. So I'm trying to be, forceful but delicate. The last thing we want is for them to send us a notice that they're dropping us, because it's going to be very hard to find somebody else, and I'd hate to fall even further behind than we are. Spending 6 months looking for a new one.
And the TAN is.
The TAN, Jessica, you'll probably see in your next warrant. Actually, you won't see it in your next warrant because it's a line of credit. So what will happen is she's going to move, I believe, $200,000 this month, and then $100,000 each month thereafter until we get till the taxes start coming in again in April. We just want to make sure that we have enough to cover everything that comes up. Obviously, with the schools taking close to $600,000 a month, we have to be cautious about how much we draw out in the middle and between tax periods.
Anybody else?
And the only thing I had was that the recreation department met, I think it was last week, yeah, and we're working on the pricing for the beach, but it's still something that's under discussion. We're comparing it to other local beaches that are similar to ours before we bring prices back to the select board to vote yes or no on.
So on to public comment. Ginger.
And if I want to comment on the light design, do I do that now or wait till number 8?
Say that again.
If I want to comment on the light designs for Main Street, do I do that now or do I wait?
Streetlight business, I don't know what you want to.
Usually you use the public comment period for items that are not on the agenda. So my recommendation would be that you wait until you're discussing that and then take comment at that time. But that's obviously your choice.
So you want to wait?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I just didn't know.
Yep, sure.
Any other public comment? Anybody out there in TV land?
I don't see any hands, so.
Yes, sir.
Dan had asked for all the departments to try and stay, I think, it just from my head, 3% increase. How are we doing?
We are
Find out.
just starting the budget process tonight, so.
But I did not, I don't have less physically try to understand each department, what it was and what it is.
So the goal is 2% overall for the municipal budget. It's impossible to submit a budget this early in the season. We start our budget process very early because we don't have an open town meeting. So we have to approve it in April. So that's why we start asking department heads for budget information in December. We're not even halfway through our current year. I can't tell you. I can tell you that 2% is what they've asked me to do. So it will be 2% when I submit the final product to them at the final draft meeting. But right now I don't have numbers for like the ambulance service from Winthrop. I don't have a final number for the dispatch information. I haven't received an invoice for the animal shelter. There's just a lot of things that we don't, the groups that we rely on to submit us numbers, they haven't done all their work yet for their own budget. So we kind of have to piecemeal
We
it.
won't know that percentage until the end.
You won't know, we should have a good idea at the time of the public hearing, but the final draft budget, when I submit that to them on that date, it will be 2% unless they make changes to these departmental budgets as we're working through. If they add things back in that I've taken out, then obviously it won't be 2% when I submit it at that time.
On to budget, but the budget workshop, public safety, police, firemen, fire department, ambulance, and there's also
The outlier.
But if we want to, we can let Dennis go first because I'm going to do the police and then we're waiting for Dan to make it to the hotel. So would you like to go? He was only a few minutes away. So once I just want to give him a little time to settle in and then
Justin, do we have paper copies for this?
Oh, yes, yep. Can I do that? I have it right here in front of me. I have some, and I had some extras if anybody.
I know, I
know.
know it's on it, but he can.
Yes.
You got a little bit evening.
Yeah, I have it.
All right.
Stick it on.
Are you just an overview or you want an overview or?
It's up to you. I'm just gonna sort of talk a little bit about what we're looking at and a little bit of maybe, if that's okay with y'all. Okay. So first of all, thank you for, you know, mixing it up and let me come here tonight with these guys. And I appreciate everyone who's here watching, and eventually on YouTube. So, Cumston Hall, you know, in terms of looking at the past year, there's been continued expansion of the food truck program. We've done a lot of expansion behind the trail. So, you know, we have been able to spend the money of Cumston Hall, I feel, wisely. And we've really made sure that we're planning for the future. I would say, much like Harry Cochran did when he built the place, looking towards, you know, the future in terms of taking care of things. This year, for the most part, if you take a look here, you know, we actually, most of our budget, most of the Cumston Hall budget is going to stay the same. I feel like we are comfortable with that. And I don't know if you need me to go through item by item or okay. But for the most part, I would explain it this way. We are still in the process of finalizing and tweaking the last pieces of the HVAC system. Without that being set and giving us consistent data, it's hard to set up a baseline that says we're spending this amount. The question, of course, is why aren't we there yet? Or why can't we get that baseline? And the simple answer is we haven't had harmony with all of the pieces talking together. And that's the best way to describe it. We have the new boiler. There were some things that were off we discovered that we wouldn't have been able to discover unless the boiler had been installed. So we're coming back and we're finding that there are issues that are solvable and we have the money for. But what we're doing is we're hoping, you know, in terms of my numbers and like how much electricity we're using, how much we're saving in heating oil. I don't have that baseline data yet. We're still kind of in flux, I think. The good news is that what we're going to be able to look at for this coming budget is we will be able to dial that in. By the time that we get to this, hopefully the end of this fiscal year, beginning of the one we're talking about, we will have a better idea of dialing in those numbers. We're starting to get to a point where we feel like all of the pieces are speaking in harmony. So one of the reasons why I feel safe keeping the budget the same is because we're still in that kind of, you know, getting that data down. I don't feel like we're going to have any problems maintaining that, I guess is what I'm saying. So the flat budget overall is something that I feel pretty good about. Last year's budget, just to maybe talk a little bit about numbers. Last year, we managed to come in under budget. We were able to arrange, like I said, spending money wisely, and we still managed to deliver, I think, good experiences, high quality experiences at Cumston Hall, and maintain the space and take care of it. I would say that the only thing that the big success, I think, last year fiscally and for budgetary reasons for Cumston Hall was establishing the reserve fund. The reserve fund and having a reserve fund for Cumston Hall allows us to begin to look again towards the future and the maintenance and the care of the hall.
The last major renovation and maintenance job at Cumston Hall took place in the year 2000 and the year 2001. So we're reaching the end of what I think would be a job well done for a lot of those things. And what I mean by that is trim pieces, painting of the building, specifically painting of the tower, which will be expensive solely for the fact that it's just so high and it requires specialized equipment. So I love the idea of having the reserve fund, and the only real ask that I'm doing this year is to ask that reserve fund go from 15 to 25. And I feel like with that request, we would be able to maintain, and plan for the eventual painting. We'll need that. Over the next 5 years, Cumston Hall will need some cosmetic things on the outside, and to make sure that it can be around, get 25 more years out of that would be good. There's ways that we can, budget that and be smart about that. There are pieces that, simply just need to be done that haven't been done over the years. And we're working on that too. So that's the sort of look at the Cumston budget. I've said this before to you guys, but I'd say it in public. Cumston Hall will never make money. It will never make, it's not designed to make money. It is not a casino. It will never make money. But what we can do is we can slow the rate at which we spend money on it by offsetting it by offering quality programs at a beautiful and unique place. So to me, that's a pretty good trade-off.
Question for you. What's the pace of events that you've been having at Cumston Hall this year versus last year?
That's a great question. So I can tell you that in last year from November 1st, which was an event at Cumston, from November 1st through December 20th, straight through, there were events at Cumston Hall. It's the busiest season at Cumston Hall, the holiday season. And basically, we had events that happen, we go October through May. That is the Cumston Hall season, because then the Theater at Monmouth comes in from June to October, and then our season begins again. So it's October to May. We saw a number of rentals. We saw new activities. We saw a number of what I would call small rentals of the lower library. And what's happening is people are starting to understand that space is available. It can be we've had Christmas parties, we've had baby showers, birthday parties, financial open houses, and things like that. So those types of rentals are great. A lot of those are in town. And to give you a sense, the rental of Cumston for Monmouth residents is, I would say, ridiculously affordable. And we offer high-speed internet. We have capabilities for displays, projections. So it's just part of my job, I think, is to let people know that, to make the process simple, easy, and so far we have. So we're continuing to see an upward trend of events.
And how about revenue growth?
I can tell you that if you give me a hot. Sure. I would say that, in terms of making money, we have seen that trend go up as well. What I look at it as a way of saying we may have lost some of those. We have rates for 2 weeks in the theater and things like that. So 150, 300, and 500 level things. We're seeing maybe a few less of those, but more of the 35s and 65s that are downstairs in the lower level. And again, I can actually give you some numbers here. So in 24-25, this was in 2024-2025, so 2 years ago, we did 28 rentals. Between the rentals and the Theater at Monmouth lease, we made $15,000. This year, I can guarantee you that it's closer to $20,000 because we had a wedding at Cumston and that pays a great deal. So I would say about $20,000, give or take a few. What's that now?
Isabella and.
Oh, yeah, Isabella. Yeah, that's exactly right. Beautiful
Now
wedding.
you can never pronounce her last name.
But yeah, thank you. That's all good information.
Oh, and did you have to, what's the balance of the reserve fund and did you need to use it this year at all?
Haven't used it yet.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is I'm I'm a bit miserly when it comes to it because we had the down boiler for so long, because we've had a few valve issues. I've been very I'm trying to squeeze all I can out of the regular budget and use that really and wait for it. My goal is for the beginning of the theater season, if we need to, there are some soft good items that are, I would say, critical in the theater space, things like that. We're looking at some other items that are happening on the inside of Cumston, sort of there, but I don't anticipate using the entire 15,000. I'm really dedicated to putting that away for exterior things that I know are coming. That's how I feel.
In the Opera Hall. You had proposed that updating of the sound system. Has that been?
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, the Friends of Cumston Hall are undertaking a fundraising effort to upgrade the sound system of Cumston. 3 years ago now, we upgraded all of the lighting. And so now, much like the lighting system, the town of Monmouth owns 0 sound equipment at Cumston Hall. It's all owned by the Theater of Monmouth. And quite honestly, it's what I would call their community use items. We don't have any hearing assisted items. We don't have really good microphones that belong to us. So that's part of it. We're trying to raise $65,000. And that is the Friends of Cumston Hall. That is a separate item. And we try not to do too much municipal budgeting towards that because that's what our job is as the Friends. The last time we did to give you a sense, the last time we did the lighting system, we did a 3-part approach. We did a third of it from the municipal budget, a third of it from individual donors, and a third of it from grants and organizations. But I don't think we'll need to do that this time because from a fundraising standpoint, $65,000 is, we got that.
Will the lighting in the lower level and maybe other places, will it be this stuff?
That is correct. I think our building is up next. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. And then the
So
town.
I'm anticipating seeing some savings that way. We've already seen some savings with electricity with the theater lighting. Some of that was offset by the installation of the giant VRF units, which are going to obviously sort of cancel some of that out. But I like that sort of net zero sort of thing working.
Also, while you're seeing some of the utilities, we've made a conscious decision to just kind of leave them alone this year because we really don't know what that's going to look like between electricity and the heat. So we just kind of left it as is for a cycle so that because we just don't know what it's going to look like now that all that equipment's all been replaced in there.
I agree. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. And it's we're coming to the end.
It's always a problem. You get a cold winter and you use a lot of oil.
Right.
You get a hot summer, you use a lot of electricity.
Yeah.
It was forever, having been on the Cumston trustees for a long time.
Yeah.
That was always mind-boggling. How can we set a good rate for?
It is
mostly
a
theater at Monmouth.
Yeah, it's a moving target on a moving wheel that's going up and down. The thing that I would mention, though, part of this whole process, part of this entire install was a building envelope upgrade. So we're talking window sealing, we're talking insulation downstairs and in certain places. So, that was a very critical part of the overall project for me in the first place was, why spend the money on the equipment if the heat's just going to go out, it doesn't matter how fast you make it. So really tightening up that building envelope, I think, has helped.
How is the window repair doing?
And good, he has it, and we're waiting to get it back.
I just had a follow-up question on the reserve fund.
Yeah.
So, when you say you want to increase it from 15 to 20,000,
Mhm.
are you asking, that to come out of the municipal budget, or are you just asking to increase the cap on that fund and any revenue Compton generates is going to that?
I would want to increase it, I suppose I would want to increase it to that funding level.
Okay.
So so it would be increased by $10,000. Because I'll tell you, because I feel like in 4 years, when we have $100,000 in there, for example, let's say, I would feel much better beginning to start looking at some of those things because, you know, I anticipate the tower is going to be a lot of that money.
So that's not on this list. You're not asking the town to.
No. That's,
wanted to
yes, I'm
clarify
sorry.
that.
This
No,
is
it's okay.
different. Yes, I'm sorry. I just mentioned that.
Reserve funds are a
Yeah, I
separate
just
warrant.
wanted to, in
No,
case anyone else was wondering that,
Oh,
clarify
yeah.
that point.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that. That's a later thing, but I figured I only get one shot, so I might as well. Thanks.
It's in sort of the townwide budget with the debt service and others, the county tax and all that stuff.
Yes, I'm
It's
sorry.
in a different, it's in a different.
Yeah. No, this is correct.
Any other questions? The man?
Thank you. You know, I love that place. I think it's a unique treasure in this town, and I'm going to do my best to take good care of it for everybody. And thank you for letting me do that.
And we're thankful having you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, nice job.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, my gum. Yeah.
Are you all set for the fire at this point? I see Dan is back available.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in if I could. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dennis, for that well done budget presentation. That was very good. So I don't have my draft budget in front of me. I'm sure Justin's handed it out to you guys. I have it in an email. I can bring it up if there's any specific questions. I did just climb into it and jotted down a few highlights that I'll share with you. What I'm proposing for this year is only a very slight increase of $4,500. That's about 2.2% increase in the fire department budget over last year's budget. I'll share with you that, you know, it was about an $8,000 increase total, but I went through a few of the different line items and I did some cuts, about $3,500 to offset that, to get it down to as close to 2% as I could. So overall, I gave a 5% COLA to our wages. Basically, we were at $16.20 an hour for call outs for the firefighters, and that's going to increase to $17.01. So we're slightly above minimum wage, I guess. And then the other big increase was about $1,800. That's for stipends. That's for my officer stipends. So I did I think it was $500 for me, $250 for the deputy chief, $150 for my assistant chiefs, and then $100 for my captains and lieutenants. So that made up the $1,800 total, and that's a annual increase. The other increases was basically just $1,000 for a few different line items. That was my IT software, equipment R&M, vehicle R&M, and then radio equipment. I put $1,000 each into those four categories. We're just seeing the cost of equipment and continued maintenance just increases every year. So it's getting more and more costly, to keep up with everything. I mean, that's pretty much my budget in a nutshell. I don't have anything for the CIP. I know that's another budget, but we were asked to try to not come in with any new additions, which I would love to come in with a bunch, but I understand we're having a tough time with the town with the new tax assessment and everything. So we'll do what we can with what we got, and that's all I got, unless there's any questions specific to what I'm asking for.
Steve, I realize it's early, and I don't know, early in terms of closing the accounting period for the year. How is your pace of calls for 2026 versus 2025 been?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going through a new software program, and I made that request for one of my assistant chiefs that's gonna get me that data, and I will share that with you at the next time we meet. I do know, it was a slow period for the I think second quarter, at least the start of it, like the November timeframe. It picked up in December, so I'd say September, November was pretty slow for us. So I think our payroll's probably a little bit on the lower side for that second quarter. So I think overall our budget is fine. We're probably less than where we should be, halfway through the year. So I feel good going forward. I think we have a lot of our maintenance done on our vehicles. We've pretty much expended that. At least once I get this next bill for the 6 tires we just put on one of our engines, we'll probably be at zero going for the next 5 months. But most of our vehicle maintenance is done. So hoping to squeeze by and, knock on wood, we don't have any more maintenance issues with the apparatus. That's one of our biggest ticket items, obviously. But yeah, wage wise, I think we're good. We might have, some extra overage, at the bottom line come the end of the year. So it's just one of those things that's hard to budget for and predict. You just don't know what you're going to have for call volume. Certainly December was tough with all the structure fires we had. And we're starting the year off a little busy as well, but I think we'll be fine.
You want to say anything about the TIF request? That,
We did have at the Economic Development Committee meeting, Dan, we had a preliminary conversation about the UTV request.
Yes.
We haven't closed the book on it. And I think we'll probably have one more conversation on it before we make a decision. In fact, it'll probably be at the next Economic Development Committee meeting. So you might want to send someone or come yourself to that meeting just to participate in the thinking. And for review, there was a preliminary request from the fire department. This is for everybody who might be listening in and hearing this for the first time. There was a preliminary request from the fire department for a utility, a UTV. What does that stand for? Utility terrain vehicle. For the purpose of moving water, for the purpose of extracting people, for the purpose of helping fight fires in remote areas where there's not road access. That type of equipment would have been useful in the recent brush fire that we had down by the railroad tracks, where we had to use other towns' equipment, had to wait for other towns to deliver the equipment to contain a forest fire. So the preliminary expense, the preliminary expense was expected to be about $80,000 for a fully equipped piece of equipment that would do the job that is expected of it. And we had a conversation at the Economic Development Committee a couple of meetings back. The conversation from Reagan La Rochelle at the current meeting was we would need to determine what percentage of that vehicle would be used either within the TIF district or on trails around town. And that question sort of stumped us because that would be the percentage of that expenditure that would be eligible for TIF money. So Reagan's going to go back and do some head scratching and see if there's another way to kind of quantify how we might be able to move forward and put together something that would offset. There's an advantage if we use TIF funds as opposed to general funds, because TIF funds essentially get double the bang for the buck, because we don't have to make a contribution to the RSU nor to the county for TIF funding, funds that are dedicated from the TIF fund. So anyway, long story short, we're considering it. I think we're gonna have one more meeting on it, Dan. And, please come. It'll probably be our next meeting, when we ultimately put together a recommendation for the select board.
Dan?
Yeah, go
Dan,
ahead.
I tried to go back, through the years, from maybe Lori Folsom to, Paul Fox to Andre Poulin, and then I guess you, the stuff that I remember of, where there were woods fires or, and where there'd be situations where that vehicle would be useful, and maybe, I don't know about using it in the TIF district, but, I don't know if you could, maybe when you come to that meeting, if you had any, ideas about any of that,
I'll, you know,
is that possible?
Yeah, of course. You know, I can try to pull up some statistics. I'm gonna share with you my honest response to this is it's gonna be impossible to try to fund, you know, I guess that 80,000, you know, based on a percentage of calls within just the TIF district. That's gonna be a losing battle. I'll share with you that there's numerous other towns out there with TIF districts that have purchased apparatus, and those apparatus, you know, go throughout the town, not just the TIF district, and they even go mutual aid out of town. So I'm not sure, you know, where this percentage thing's coming from. I get it. I know where she's pulling it from. I just want to make sure it's fair, you know, statewide, that this is accurate, because if it's not, I mean, I just feel like the 400,000 that I was told that was going to be over the life of the TIF loan, is going to be allocated to a bucket that could be used for fire department fire protection within the TIF district. It just seems like why give us that information or that false hope, because I just don't see it happening. It just seems like it's an uphill battle to try to define that. You know, I mean, we use the TIF fund to pave the parking lot at the fire station, and back then it was a different manager, and she basically said, you know, which it is, the parking lot can be used for, you know, additional parking for downtown activities, and I guess that's how it was justified. I just don't know why we can't use, you know, some similar language as far as the purchase of an ATV. That's just how I feel, you know, but I'll stop at that. I'll do some more homework, and yes, I'll definitely be there at that next meeting in February. So I appreciate that opportunity.
Sure.
Was that Garrett who had that idea, or you?
To
The percentage thing?
no, it was actually Reagan. Indicated that it was a requirement that because the TIF funds have to be allocated based on the percentage of use of the equipment within the district.
Same thing with like employee salaries. So the amount that you fund my salary with the TIF money has to be somewhat reasonable to the amount of time that I spend doing what would be considered economic development activities or things within the TIF district. So me, like supervising the Main Street project or working with Donna to figure out what the values are down to the same way that we pay a certain percentage of Donna's costs out of a TIF. It's because she has to spend some amount of time calculating what those TIF districts are valued at and how much revenue comes in. So it has to be tangentially, it has to be related to the activities that the TIF was set up for.
I guess how I would look at it would be, you know, if the ATV is $80,000, maybe the percentage of response to the TIF district would be, you know, let's just say $5,000 worth, you know, in that calculation of using the percentage. So therefore, I would have to go build it into either my normal operating budget or come to you under the capital improvement plan for an additional 75,000, you know, to utilize 5,000 from the TIF budget to offset the, you know, the 80,000. That would be great, but when we're told don't put anything in the CIP plan for the upcoming year because we're trying to hold our budget and be fiscally responsible, I just feel like it's just a lost cause, you know, at least for the next year or two. Not to say, you know, we're not shooting this, you know, completely. You know, if I have to, I'll just reapproach the issue, you know, next year or the year after, and maybe we'll have better funding, you know, within the town. I just thought that this was an opportunity with monies that I thought was available, you know, for fire department equipment. That's the whole reason why I brought it as a suggestion, thinking, wow, we could actually purchase this and not take tax money from the town. It was money set aside through the, you know, the building of the CMP court, you know, substation. And I get the whole argument that, you know, the money could be used for other projects for the town to offset tax dollars. I get all that and appreciate that. I just looking for a way to try to, you know, increase our fire protection and try to utilize some funds that might be available, you know, without, you know, going back to the taxpayers. That's all I was trying to do. So.
Sure. Well, and Dan, we can talk more detail at the next meeting for the Economic Development Committee. I did mention to Reagan use of that piece of equipment on trails around town would also qualify as a TIF expenditure. So although there's probably kind of limited use in the suburban part of town, downtown, you know, if we're talking about the trail system that's on Prescott Hill, or we're talking about the new trail system going in behind the schools here, those are remote areas. You're not going to get a piece of equipment in there. And we should be thinking that that would add in to whatever use within the TIF district itself.
Sure. Yep. Just know we have chainsaws. We can get access. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. On to rescue ambulance.
I'm gonna have to skip the ambulance for now because I don't have a number. So if they're not ready to share it yet.
Thank you.
And I'll hand this one out at the same time, which is the other. So this is not useful because there's only one number on there that is anything other than what it was last year, but you can have it. Yeah.
One number on this one?
Right. The rest of them, we all rely on somebody else to provide the number to us and yeah. Really. So I'm gonna go through the police department budget for the chief because he's not here. I'll do my best to explain it to you. You'll see the full-time staff wages are up. That is contractual. There's no new initiative in that amount. It's the collective bargaining agreement plus the steps that go along with certain individuals who are, so they get their COLA and then they're reaching another level in their employment status, which moves them up further. When we did the contract, the last 3-year contract, the goal was to both Monmouth and Winthrop were both working at sort of cross equity. The benefits on the Monmouth side were a little better than the benefits on the Winthrop side. So Winthrop adjusted theirs to be more like ours. And on our side, our wages were lower than the wages over there. So our wages went up a little faster than Winthrop's. After this contract is settled, after the contract on both sides is settled, there will basically be at parity, the two towns with their wages.
If I remember correctly, when we did that contract negotiation, we were also sort of asking the union to spread out the inflationary increase from 3 years ago.
That's
So
correct.
we said, hey, will you take a lower amount so we can sort of gradually work this into our budget and not have a extreme surprise for the taxpayers in 1 year?
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
The tail end of that.
Yes, it is. Yep, that is correct. I asked Chief Ferland to calculate an alternative amount, which would be to eliminate the 5th officer position that was just added back in a couple of years ago. In order to maintain 24-hour coverage with only 4, the budget actually goes up
because the overtime and the 2 shifts a week that the other officers would have to cover on overtime actually outstrip the amount of the salary for that 5th officer. So if you're looking to get that increase down at the police department, you're really looking at eliminating the 24-hour coverage in town. So that's, obviously that's a decision that you can make if you want to. When you're looking at the full-time staff wages, please keep in mind that $92,841 of that, including benefits, comes from the town of Winthrop to reimburse us for Chief Furlan's. That's Winthrop's share of his total compensation, including his retirement and health insurance and all that. That's what we receive. So you can sort of remove that. That shows up on the revenue side of the budget, so it doesn't show up in his budget. We have to budget for the entirety of it here, but on the revenue side, there's a line special that shows that money coming in, which reduces the tax rate. The remainder, if you're looking at training and development, the increase there is for Girigo, which the chief mentioned. That's to maintain their policies moving forward. So once they get certified, that will be the company that will maintain, the hundreds of policies they have to stay on top of annually in order to maintain their certification. The other item is going to be the $3,000 that has to be budgeted to replace the officer that just left. So that's the academy cost, $3,000. So we included that in the budget. If we hire somebody in the next year, we're going to need to pay for them to go to if we have to pay for them to go to the academy. If we're not lucky like we were recently to get a blue pin, that's unlikely, but you never know. We'd be able to save that if that was the case. The remainder, there's really no other significant increases. There's a number in there of 33%, but we're talking $400 for ammunition. Ammunition is just more expensive. Other than that, that's really all that's in there. There are no real initiatives in the police department budget. Animal controls in there, that number for the facility rental, which is our fee that we have to pay, our per capita fee to the animal shelter. That's just a guess at this point. I haven't received their estimate, so I just put 3% in there. And like I mentioned, the other public safety numbers, I don't have the final number for dispatch services. I don't have the final number from Winthrop for the ambulance service, and I don't have the final number for the hydrants either. So that's why I highlighted them in orange, just so you know that I just dragged them forward from last year at this point.
So if we did away with 24-hour coverage, that would reduce the 6.4 to.
We would remove, let's see here. Add that up like that. The chief's calculations, the police is a little confusing because he has to kind of assume that it's like somebody at a 3 or a 5 year step, because if we hire them from outside, they're going to come in at that's the thing they already have. So let's go.
So without 24-hour coverage, then if someone calls 911, it's going to be a longer response time and be the sheriffs, right, that respond?
Yeah, potentially, or potentially someone get called in depending on what it was. So then it would be overtime. Yeah,
Overtime and a delay in getting them.
correct.
And Winthrop wouldn't be coming over to cover.
Winthrop could, if it was an emergency, certainly somebody would show up. It's just that if you called about some disturbance at the neighbor's house or something and it wasn't life threatening, it may be some time before somebody would show up. Certainly with the state police, which have abandoned rural patrol. I mean, they don't do rural patrol anymore, so they're not coming unless it's a life or death or something, or domestic assault or something like that. They don't do it anymore. They really have kicked that off to the sheriff's departments or the local PDs to deal with all things in the rural areas.
So you don't have to shoot from the hip on this, but maybe we can come back to it
Sure.
at another meeting. But I mean, I think that's a reasonable decision that we just need to weigh. It's like, do we continue the 24-hour coverage? And if not, what would that impact the budget?
There's an additional consideration too, is if we do move forward with some form of consolidation, then that
that idea sort of changes because instead of having a 4 or 5 man department, it would turn into a 22-man department. So how the chief would manage those types of gaps, I don't know.
Right.
Right. So that would be a good conversation to have with him when he's available, because I'm not sure how he would manage that.
Is there a timeline on that or not?
The plan right now is for the chief to hold some type of a public meeting over here on this side in the next month or two. Obviously, the process over here is more elongated because we have a town meeting form of government. Winthrop can do it whenever they want because they have a council form of government. So they don't need as much time to react. So we just need to build in enough time for there to be conversations in the community, see if there's buy-in. But we think the idea would be to pose the question formally on the warrant if everybody wants to move forward, and then over the next year, moving after July 1st, if it was approved, have that police commission set up that would then formally start to consolidate the operations and the budgets and things moving into the 28 fiscal year for the formalized budget consolidation.
Yes, sir.
If we go to just 12 hours, does it increase the amount that we got to pay the sheriff's? Because the sheriff's department will cover us for 12 hours. Does it increase the amount that we pay the
It
sheriff?
wouldn't be 12 hours. I think it would be maybe 4 hours.
Yeah,
It's like 2 AM.
2 to 6 or something like that.
We're going down to 20.
Yeah.
But does that still increase the amount that you pay the sheriff?
Not unless we wanted to contract with them to make sure there was somebody in town during that gap.
I'll keep in mind what Chief gave us for statistics from our last meeting about the fact that having officers patrolling, doing what they do, being visible and out there, we've gone from 5 known drug houses down to 1. So the presence of having police around make a huge difference. And people come here because they feel safe here to live here. So, having a police presence, I think, and having the department we have with the dedicated officers we have, which was on, show tonight. If you don't, and you start stressing the officers to have more overtime, it starts affecting them in quality of life ways. So, we've got a great group. And as I've always said, retaining the employees you have is a lot less expensive than finding new ones. So I think that that's something to consider.
I think it's also important to consider that the last time we had this conversation with the chief, the types of incidents that officers are coming across in the 2 AM to 6 AM range
Yes.
tend to be more severe or significant than, a simple traffic stop that happens at 7 PM.
Yes.
So
That goes into the question on, is there any statistics that they have or can show on the calls between 2 and 6?
Yes, he
Oh, yeah.
gave that all to us last meeting. So,
Generally, he provides a monthly report, so I can,
But I didn't see it broken down.
if you send me an email or something, I can send you a copy.
Well, while we're talking about this, since I've been on the board, I've heard this mentioned several times. The last time the townspeople voted to keep the police department, it was based on 24 hours coverage. And I know we've had a few stretches where we haven't been able to do that, but for us to cut this back to anything less than 24 hours coverage is going against what the people in the town voted to do.
Well, I still think we probably ought to make a decision based on, the facts. So if we could see what the impact would be if we decided to go to 20-hour coverage instead of 24, how would that change the budget?
Can we ask what the response times from the sheriff's department would be for similar towns?
I can certainly ask the chief to
That
reach
way-
out.
Talk to anyone in Litchfield.
Yeah, that way we can go into fully informed, so. Because it is those types of incidents during
Yeah,
that time
exactly.
frame. You really don't want someone taking 2 hours to show up.
well,
Yeah.
it's 2 hours is on the good side.
Yeah.
So,
Because then you're back into regular
exactly.
full-time staffing.
So,
Yeah,
They would know it.
yeah, the folks in Litchfield know that.
It's closed.
All that. On to, streetlight designs.
I did mock up a survey on that hasn't been sent up to the town yet. But I do have it on here if someone wants to look at it. I did show it to the rest of the board that's in attendance. I can email the link to you, Mark. It's just basically showing the lamp options and getting people's feedback on what, people prefer. And then also the street options of going from Academy to Cumston or Academy to Maple. I know Kent said he had some thoughts overall on the whole streetlight thing, so I'll stop talking. Let him go.
Sure. I think it's important to start with a couple of observations. And that is, if the age of our current sidewalks, age and condition of our current sidewalks have something to teach us, it's that these things are going to last for 50 or 60 years. So whatever decision we make on street lamps is probably something that will last beyond my lifetime. And we are only going to get one bite at this apple. It's not like someone's going to come up with a great idea and say, I think we ought to tear up those sidewalks and put something new in until everything is completely worn out, as it should be. The other important thing to note here is that we have a dedicated TIF fund that is well-financed and does not impact the taxpayers. We've accumulated around $700,000. That fund was set up in 2013 with exactly this type of project in mind. Downtown improvement, things have come a long way in the last 10 years for the downtown area. And in part, it's because the town has been making investments in infrastructure like the beach, like the Maple Street sidewalk, et cetera, and facade improvement grants for some of the older buildings that look pretty worn in those areas. So whatever decision we make, we should understand that we have saved about 700,000. I think by the time we get there, probably be about 800,000, because we've got every year about 125,000 coming in from the TIF district. This is sheltered money that the RSU and the county cannot touch. The TIF district is expected to last a total of 30 years. It's still got 20 years left on it. And that means we're expecting revenue for this TIF district. If the first 10 years are any sort of track record, we've got $2 million at least expected to come into the TIF district fund from the tax revenue that's collected on the CMP substation. So I think there's plenty of funding. In fact, we've got a number of categories within our accounting plan for our budget plan for the monies in the TIF district that have not been touched. I think there's plenty of funding. This funding has been dedicated specifically when this district was set up for projects such as this. And it would seem to me that if we're going to make a long-term investment in the town, that we ought to consider doing all of the stretch of road from the intersection of Maple Street all the way up to the intersection of Academy Road, because we only get one shot, and it's a long-term investment in the town that we've been planning and saving for the last decade. That's my opinion. I have a preference on the lighting, but I think any lighting is a lot better than the lighting that we currently have, which, is kind of the 1960s street light stuff that you can find anywhere.
Because I used to throw rocks at the street.
Well, it's been updated with LED. We had a conversation about this at the Economic Development Committee. There were members there that said, oh, we should be doing what we can to help some of the local businesses in the downtown area to make it an attractive place. There were some members that said, that doesn't go far enough. We should take down the telephone poles and bury the wires so that we don't have to look at the wires. I was trying to protect you, Doug. That is an extremely expensive solution that would be out of our budget ballpark. Because, because there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure work there, and it's, now you're talking tens of millions of dollars and not just,
You think?
what are we saying, $150,000 for the full set of lights. So
So how did Winthrop do it?
they got a grant.
So can we,
That's an idea. Look into it at least.
We can find out if it's possible. The time is, as I'm hearing from the
Timeline
engineer,
is really not, it's not.
time is
feasible.
running short. And from the beginning, like with the former town manager who started formulating a plan with DOT, we've always said, look, we don't want Taj Mahal. We want to move the sidewalks so we don't have to play with the telephone poles and the wires. But maybe there's some lighting that we could do that would help the attractiveness of the downtown area. The most traveled part, the most walked part of our infrastructure.
I don't get how I'm not good at envisioning how the two would mix, how those old fashioned posts with, lamplighter lights would work with all these wires, a ton of wires up there.
Well,
They're not very tall.
yeah, they're 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just a little over your head.
And they would provide light for somebody who maybe was out there at night walking. You,
They're basically designed to light up the sidewalk area.
Yes, exactly.
Are we imagining, and I don't, maybe this is an engineer question, that the old LED street lamps would come down and
They
these would replace?
certainly could. It's just gonna depend on how much light you want available in the street for pedestrians and cars.
Cars making turns.
There may be some middle ground in there where maybe some of them come out. I mean, we own them now, so we can do whatever we want. And obviously, every one we take down is one less we pay to run at night. But I think that would be a good question. If it's something you want to explore, that I could pose to Rob Crew, who is our engineer, but he's hiring a lighting consultant because he's not a lighting person. You usually,
Right.
they tell you how many, lumens and all that type of stuff that you need to make it effective, but not intrusive into people's living rooms and all that.
but I guess Winthrop, I haven't walked the street in Winthrop at night, so I don't know. But there's probably enough light from those old
Sometimes better.
fashioned things, maybe, I don't know. Okay,
I haven't seen any preliminary engineering. I don't know if there is any
There is.
preliminary. I thought from what I've been told is that the telephone poles and the lighting are on different planes. So the telephone poles are on one side of the sidewalk. The these new lights would be on front side of the sidewalk. So it's not like these are gonna go up underneath the wires. The wires are here and then 4 foot away are these poles on the other side of the sidewalk. So they're not competing with each other.
Right.
You're gonna move the poles so they're back further, so the sidewalk can be forward with a buffer with a light pole, so the plows don't hit it. There'll be a curb. So that's unless I'm totally wrong, and you're putting the poles underneath the telephone and high tension wires, you're not gonna do that. I don't believe any engineer would do that.
Probably not.
It's sort of gonna depend where you're talking about, because there are places where
it crosses over Main Street and the poles aren't
over.
aren't perfectly lined up. Sometimes they're 2 feet this way and if you look at them, they're not really in a straight line because they've been replaced.
And these streetlights are gonna be fed on the ground, aren't they? The streetlights, but not the.
Yeah, that's kind
Streetlights are
of,
underground.
this is why we're having this conversation now, is
So
that we
you're
need
not
to.
gonna have two sets of wires.
Right. That's correct.
You wouldn't have a wire coming from the pole to the.
No.
Comes from underneath.
What's the date we have to have this decision by for the lighting? Like, is there?
They want to have them as soon as possible because the design of where the lights are, they're basically already plotted on there, but he wants to. These are examples of styles, and then depending on which one you pick, the lighting consultant is then going to send back 2 or 3 manufacturers that make them similar to the style that you.
Meetings are every 2 weeks. If they're like, we have to have this decision ready to go next meeting, or we really have to have it this meeting or within the next 2 meetings, just there we have an idea, like.
Give us a deadline.
I will have to send that to you. I don't know when the drop dead date is. I just know that he was asking. Right after your last meeting, he was like, so where are we going? And I said, they don't know yet. You're gonna have to wait. So,
So he kind of wants it sooner than later.
Yeah,
From the
well-
sounds of it.
but that doesn't mean that he can't wait. I mean, he's got other work that he has to coordinate with DOT. I think he's just trying to give his consultant some lead time to figure out where they're gonna come from and all that stuff.
So I have a couple of things, and I'm Ginger Jordan Hillier. We haven't met before, the rest of you I know me. I was a former member of the comp plan. Our downtown area is the heart of our designated growth area. It has been a focus for the downtown TIF, which isn't just to support economic development, but historical revitalization. It's the home of our national historic landmark, Compton Hall, and it's described in a former comp plan as having a traditional village architecture. So it seems to me that installation of traditional historical lighting is, in my opinion, a justifiable complement to investment for this area of our town, especially considering the lower cost as a DOT add-on compared to any future effort to do this where we might be faced with funding the total lighting cost. So those are my thoughts on that. But the other thing we all need to be aware of is an act to promote responsible outdoor lighting, which is going to apply to public lighting, including sidewalk lighting. Is that on your radar? That was enacted on the 11th, will be effective on September 30th, and will affect any lighting purchased after October 1st of 2026. Now, how are they going to do that with major substitute rulemaking? I don't know. But I did send an email to DOT to say Monmouth was talking with them about lighting, and is anything they propose to us going to be compliant with this new law so that we don't end up with some outdated stuff? So those are just my thoughts.
I guess
Did you
we
know
just
about
make
this
sure our
law?
engineer,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
our engineer, obviously, the lighting engineer will be appraised.
Well, I
of that,
actually just-
obviously.
I was aware of the law, but I actually took your email and I forwarded it to our engineer who forwarded it to the lighting consultant. So they are all in the loop,
Yeah,
one way or the other.
yeah. So, but Ginger, did you look at the lighting options online?
No, I haven't
Oh,
done it
okay.
yet. I haven't.
All right.
I just, and there may be other people who are more qualified to say, this fits with this.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the conversations we had last time when you were out, and we talked about, what we thought or how we envisioned this. And because of Compton being built in 1900, I had done a little
Right.
search to find out, and I found some lighting catalogs from the 1900s and went through them and saw what, what they were doing at that time. And they were very similar to our number 4. So this was from the lighting catalogs, and then this is the number 4. So, that is kind of keeping with.
Can you just flip that around? For me to see it?
This is the catalog.
Okay.
And then
What is
this
it in
was
that pile there?
nine,
In that
this
building?
was number 4. And I think number 5 kind of was like that as well, but number 4 was very similar to, what, no.
And I would also say
I
in
think
both,
that's number 3, so this one. That's
Oh, I see
number
right
3.
there, 2, 5,
Yeah.
1.
That's not 4, so maybe I wrote it down wrong. I don't know, I have to look.
Cause it
It
did
might
say
have
like
been.
the option number and the thing, so 4 doesn't have the bars, but it looks traditional.
Yes.
3 had the
there it
bars,
is, yeah.
but didn't have the jut out edges.
Yeah,
I preferred 3 personally, but I like 4 too.
so in both Winthrop and Bath, which both places
Mhm.
have, what I would call those traditional lights. They've also become a vehicle for downtown art.
yes.
And that's been a very sort of, in the kids in the high school, there's these wonderful things at Christmas, or in the summer, and Gardner, the same thing. So it's, they become a platform, for these other things in a way that a traditional light does, that involves other pieces of the town. So that's also, in my mind, a
Camden
positive,
has them too.
a
They're really pretty.
positive thing.
Yeah. They were part of the
There's
package.
gonna be a survey
Yeah.
that Kayla put together that she just sent me, late this afternoon. It hasn't been posted yet. We'll try to get it posted tomorrow and we'll put it on.
It's just a quick, super easy Google form survey, so I think it's gonna be on Facebook so people can access it easily.
Just,
So the TIF expenditures are actually approved by the select board. The town votes to create the TIF and the funding that goes into it. And the select board decides. So they're looking for input from the residents. But there won't be like a chart. These pictures won't be in the warrant for the town to approve as an option. They need the feedback now so they can approve how the project's going to move forward at this point.
So was the major discussion about where they're going from, Maple to Pleasant, Maple to Cumston, or Maple?
That is one of the discussion points. Right now, the lights run from, I believe, from the end of Academy all the way down to Maple Street. There's basically 2 sections because we can't bore underneath the railroad track. So there has to be an electric meter for one side of the tracks and another one for the other. There was some discussion about whether it should only go from Maple to Cumston Hall. So that's one decision. The style is a decision, and then doing them at all is a decision. I think there's.
I can add that as a question too.
Yep.
If I can put my 2 cents in as the owner of a business at the end of the main street right at Academy Road, and for the last 11 years I've been there on Halloween handing out candy, and the kids come all the way up to the intersection of Academy Road. And not only that, but you've got 3 businesses there. You've got the insurance company, you've got the bakery, and you've got the quick shop. And when I drive that road, which is a lot of times, several times a day, there's always people walking. And I think in my opinion, from Maple to Cumston, you'd be missing the rest of what I would call the downtown area where people walk. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that the banners that we have on the poles go all the way up to the insurance office.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
And so as a resident, as a business owner, that to me would be the best place to have them, from Maple Street all the way up to Academy Road.
Yeah.
That would be my input as business owner.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. There is a feedback section on the survey. I don't know how many lines it'll hold of comments, so just keep that in mind. But this is why we wanted to do the survey, was so people could have input. Because if everyone in town wants it, or the majority of the town wants it, and wants it to go Academy to Maple, which especially for Halloween makes sense, and we're improving the town. We want people to visit Monmouth more, spend their money in our town versus others.
Especially in the summertime when the theater people are here.
And when all the people
They
who
are
own
constantly
homes on the lakes,
constantly walking up to the bakery always. They come up to the bakery, sometimes they sit there for a couple of hours with their laptop and do work or learn their lines or something. They're in there all the time. So to me, that's really the key of the downtown area, in my opinion.
Going back to what Kent was saying about the TIF fund and the 2.2 million or whatever. So are you saying that you're trying to pre-use the TIF fund for the sidewalks?
Well, if we,
Is any other projects that needed or wanted TIF, it's already allocated for that?
we don't.
You want me to help with that, or are you good?
I'll try, I think you
Okay.
can chime in. It's a bit of a chicken and egg thing because there are some uncertainties about exactly how much money is gonna come into the TIF by the time the 30-year mark.
But whatever the number is, you're already pre-using it before we even get it.
We have a cash balance of $700,000-ish. And we know that there is at least $2 million expected to come in to the TIF over the remaining 20 years. That's a conservative number.
Sure.
We have obligated some for the Maple Street sidewalk.
Maple, Main and Beach, down there.
So we are paying, we've borrowed money. Instead of paying cash, we borrowed money when interest rates were very low to put in Maple Street sidewalks, Beach and North Monmouth sidewalks. And there's still a little bit of obligation there left.
Yeah.
When we borrow for about 10 years. And we have, we don't know exactly how much our obligation is going to be to replace the sidewalk.
Right now, yeah.
Regardless of what it is, are you pre-using them funds?
What I would suggest that we do is make a very substantial down payment with cash. And then use the funds to float a 10-year note. And not exceed what the revenue of the TIF would be for 10 years.
Going back to what the guy from Cumston said about painting that tower.
Yep.
Couldn't you use TIF money for that? Because
No.
it's it, why not?
No, you can't use TIF money for what they consider general maintenance on municipal structures.
If it wasn't a
I
if
just
it
gonna
was not
say
a
that.
municipal structure.
There's something called the facade grant, but they're limited in scope to, I think, $5,000
And a 50% back.
and a 50% match from the owner. And we can't do that with a municipal building.
And even though this is a special municipal building, it has it's a.
Someone else owned it, we could give them $5,000 if they had, but that's a drop in the paint bucket for that building.
So we would not be exhausting the TIF fund over the life of its TIF. We would be committing the TIF fund for about 10 years is typically our tradition of borrowing money.
So if the fire department needed something that they couldn't for 10 years because it's already exhausted.
No, if the fire department needed something, we could use the remaining balance. We wouldn't draw it all the way down to zero. We could use the remaining balance to borrow against whatever revenue is expected between year 20 and year 30 of the TIF. So that would still be possible. We wouldn't be locking ourselves in to, a rock and a hard place, if that's what you mean.
And that's if this project comes in at a certain amount, it comes up to 3 million or 4 million.
Yeah.
Then you've exhausted more than 10 years of it.
The estimated revenue in the TIF too is a static number that's applied at the time in which the TIF is created. So the idea behind a TIF is that you create economic development in that zone. So let's say, 3 restaurants pop up in a hotel down here on Main Street. The revenue in that TIF could vastly outstrip that $2 million. I mean, it would be, if you had that type of development, it may be 10 or $15 million go into the TIF, and we'd have a completely different discussion. But the idea when you create them is to sort of start that ball rolling by making the improvements to your downtown area, and hopefully, they will come, if you will, if you do enough work. That's kind of the idea behind creating them in the first place.
It's a catalyst.
That's the idea. That's the hope. That's why you do them. Yep, exactly.
And that's why you go with moderately more expensive lighting than just the plain vanilla 1960 street lamp. that Doug didn't get to yet.
No
Do a good shot.
The sidewalk light, does that cause a hazard for plowing the sidewalks
No.
or the road onto the sidewalks?
No. Now, it'll be designed in a way, I mean, this is all DOT sort of stress tested. They've been doing this in a bunch of communities. And one of the reasons we're doing this sidewalk improvement is to get the obstacles out of the sidewalk so a plow can go through there and be more consistent with removing snow.
Because for those of us that walk, know that Maple Street and Academy Street are easy for the machine to get up and down, but Main Street, they go over a foot and a half onto people's lawns, and then there's a whole section they can't even get down. No, because there'll be a straight shot and it'll be engineered so that the machine can get down.
Something between the sidewalk and the.
No esplanades, because we'd have to take care of those if we did. We'd have to mow them and plant grass every year, and the salt kills them. The plow trucks go by and they'll destroy the grass every year. Those are beautiful things, but they happen mostly in urban areas where there are ordinances that require the landowner to take care of that strip of grass that's on the town property. And I don't think that's, with Monmouth not even having zoning, I wouldn't go to them having to take care of the town grass in front of their house. I don't think that would go over very good.
Do we know which side of the street the parking is going to remain?
We will do a charrette right now where Rob thinks with DOT that the parking can remain there on both sides as it is, as it's currently drafted right now. Around Cumston Hall, there might be some things change. We requested that he consider moving the entrance, as I mentioned before, from its current location to Cumston Hall to looking at the building to the right side. So the entrance would be straight off of Main Street down along the cemetery. So you go to the back without sort of making that diagonal drive across the parking lot.
That would seem to make sense because right now we've got diagonally going across the parking lot while pedestrians are trying to.
Correct.
Half the parking lot is walking through the
Right.
travel zone.
And from Dennis's perspective with food trucks and having events, if people could drive straight back, he could block off that left side of the parking lot for a Mayfair and all that, and you wouldn't have cars kind of zigzagging through everything. You could.
Well, aren't there like events where they have to have like a monitor to help people
where to park,
direct traffic, and that all goes away.
Yeah.
So the engineer is willing to do like a charrette activity if you want to. He's willing to come here with plans and have a public meeting, and you could either do it as part of your regular process, or we could just set up kind of a different evening so people don't have to listen to your business stuff if all they're concerned about is the Main Street, and we can do that. He's willing to come up and do that.
Yeah, be like a workshop type thing.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, as somebody who is a walker and has been doing it for many years, at all times of the day and all seasons of the year, how nice it is to have streetlights, even though they don't cover all of it, and how much safer it is to have sidewalks when I'm walking at night. And for 12 years, when I was working for the state, I walked between 8 and 9 at night. And that just would not have been safe without sidewalk. And it is physical health, it is mental health. During the day, it's so, well, even then, Chuck Coe and I would hear this voice in the darkness, Ginger, is that you? and it really is a lovely thing to have access to. And even if you don't live close by like I do, you can drive and park in Cumston, or you can drive and park down at the beach and, still use those sidewalks. So I'm really very appreciative of having that.
So I think
And in
we have a
December, when
run-
night starts at 3:30 in the afternoon,
Because we have a runner that parks at the town
Town
office,
office
right?
runs down
She
Main
runs.
Street every day. Yep.
So I see her pretty often too, so.
I have a bathroom. I have a bathroom.
Yeah.
Get older.
Handy.
So are we ready to go to the
So-
select board schedule?
Yeah.
Okay, so I proposed this mostly, my original intent was so that Dennis would have sort of the set
schedule as much as possible because of the messenger. So he prints that, 3 months ahead. So I was just doing, then I noticed this year, just because of the schedule, there was like 3 or maybe even 4 months where there was 3 meetings in a month. And I don't know that that's really necessary for you folks. I didn't know if you wanted to get rid of those. So the way that I kind of proposed it was I kind of skipped that meeting that might be on the 30th or the 31st of the month, and then I kept your regular schedule. I just kind of skipped that one. So it doesn't change sort of the weeks that you would normally meet, other than eliminating the third one in 1 month.
So it's the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, is that how that works?
No, it's just every.
It's still every other, but if
Every
there's a
other.
third one in 1 month, you just skip it and then you go back to your normal every other sort of day. Last couple of years, I've noticed that in June and July and August, there's been, I think last year it was right after the budget, there was a request to kind of not have a meeting after that. I just kind of threw July and August as a 1 meeting month. It usually is a little slower there. It's certainly up to you. If you want to have the second one, it's fine. I just threw it out there as a thing. I've noticed that in the summer, you tend to kind of slow down a little bit and kind of take a break. I didn't know if that was intentional or if it was just something that tends to happen in the summer. So I didn't know if you wanted to do that.
I think we just did it as if there was really nothing on the agenda and we didn't have anything, then we made a decision to not have the next meeting if there wasn't any pressing business.
It's generally pretty slow in July and August because you finish the budget, the town meeting happened, and then July, we're just kind of starting up, and there's usually not a lot of things because of the 4th of July and stuff, but it's completely up to you. I can add them back in, or we can keep it as one a month during those 2 summer months.
I like it.
If something happened, that we'd have to.
Certainly, you can always have meetings at your will. I mean, it's no problem. It's just trying to set this out so we can put it on the calendar and just kind of set expectations
And
for everybody.
I know that November.
Is a weird month. So I was gonna, my question there.
No, the night before Thanksgiving. And I'm
So
like,
November 11th it would be your first meeting that month, which is
Which is
Veterans
Veterans
Day. And then your second meeting would be on the 25th, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. If you want to, we could just do an off meeting that month on the 18th,
That's
which
what
would
I
be
was
in the
gonna-
middle. And you could do that if you wanted to, too.
That's what I was gonna recommend.
See right there,
Because-
Chris. It says or 18th.
Can we switch to? It's like-
So if you'd like to do that, you can. It's
I-
just how the calendar's falling this year.
So that's what I would recommend. In November, do the 18th,
I'm
and it
good
would
with
be
that.
a
Okay.
different,
I'll change that.
yeah, that's what I would recommend.
This doesn't affect the payroll for people, right? Because we do that.
You guys sign those electronically, so yeah, it
Doesn't
doesn't.
matter. Now that we do it
We'd
electronically.
have to
Yeah.
sign the warrant.
Right.
So that was important. but
Right.
no longer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, everything else I think is fine. Plus I know, some of these, maybe when you're at Sebago.
I actually don't know because I can't book it till the 1st of February, so you have to go on at midnight. Yeah, exactly.
In the dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I'll change the November to the 18th, and if anything
Yeah.
comes up, you can always add meetings. I mean, there's nothing that
Yeah.
prevents you. But this will just help Dennis put the messenger together and kind of
Yes.
have an idea when.
Yeah.
That's that. Thank you.
Okay, to consider a road name. Request from Hilltop View Estates.
So the request is that's the housing development that you can see right on Main Street there, the 55 and up. They're requesting the road that comes off of Main Street in would be called April Avenue. And then the road that's going to go in, and then the first road to the left would be Austin Avenue. That's what they're requesting. And the code officer doesn't have any concerns.
Amy's.
I make a motion, we accept the recommendations or the request of the Hilltop View Estates subdivision and name April Avenue and Austin Avenue appropriately.
Austin Way.
Austin Way.
Did I say, I might have said Avenue, I'm sorry, did I say that? Yeah, Austin Way and April Avenue and Austin.
Austin Way.
I'll second that.
So the motion by Ken, second by Chris.
1 second.
There's an Austin Lane, I believe, down off of South Shore. Unless the name changed, there used to be an Austin.
I'm not sure.
Let's look on Google.
Yes, there is.
Used to be part of the old Cobby Sea campground forever ago.
Well, actually,
Kennebec Drive.
I'm showing Austin Lane in Monmouth at the end of Kennebec Drive.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
So that might not be why.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, no, we shouldn't be doing that
No.
then. Yeah, okay.
exactly.
So
So we can.
if you want to just approve the April and then I'll have him contact them and
Yeah.
straighten that one out.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why that's an issue, because at Oak Hill, my next road's Oak Hill Acres.
Yeah.
And you guys let that go for, was someone let that go?
Well, that was back.
It's not supposed to happen under 911, but there's a lot of road names. They really should be changed, but it irritates a lot of people when you change their home address
And
to
for
something else.
safety reasons, we
So-
need to be clear on that.
That probably was put together in like the 1960s when that was developed,
Yeah.
70 something.
Yeah.
And they didn't have,
Well, they did.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll
So
mention that.
anyway, we want to make sure that the EMT and the police and the fire know where they're going
Yes.
with a unique road name.
It's difficult when
Yeah.
it's not very simple.
Yes. Do you?
Oh, yeah, I get Maple Ridge Island mail all the time too.
Winthrop has a road that has the same name as mine, that's perpendicular. It's
Yeah.
great. People get confused all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope. I'm on.
Yeah, so.
We'll change the.
So I'm going to change my motion. I make a motion, we approve April Lane.
April Avenue.
April Avenue.
We'll bring the other one back.
Yeah. I'll second that.
supposed to be getting 3 names.
Yeah,
It wasn't an
Exactly.
ordinance. You were supposed to get
three
three
choices.
choices.
Yeah, yeah.
I told him that, and he didn't get it.
Or to Dave. Nobody's listening, Dave.
So there's been a change in the motion. I'm approving the Hilltop View Estates request. So that it's only going to be, the motion is for just April Avenue and it's Kent and Chris. All those in favor of April Avenue.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
That's, yes.
And next is to consider an over limit permit for the MDOT Wagon Road Bridge replacement.
WAUGN. That's right. Wagon.
I was wondering if this was a different brand.
I'm using the language that DOT put on there.
We got to put a sign on it so people know how to spell it.
Yes.
Which is funny because now that I look at it, the project number is 026234 and it's WAGGON bridge replacement. And then on the form, they want you to fill out, it's spelled WAUGN road. So they don't know either. They don't know either. Yes, I don't know, whatever. It's the one you're all thinking about though. This is the same thing as the Bailey Flat Bridge. They need the municipal officers to approve the over limit permit. I will again just suggest that you just leave that in Tony's hands as the road commissioner about whether he requires a bond or any special circumstances. And I'll have you sign this if you approve it.
So I make a motion to approve the over limit permit for MDOT for the Wagon Bridge replacement.
Second.
Second. Okay, so Chris made a motion. Ken seconded it to approve the overweight limit permit for the MDOT Wagon Bridge replacement project. All those in favor?
Bismarck?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a sense of where they are in their process?
Yes, so we have received, there's actually a letter posted on the bulletin board in the town office, because that's where they wanted it, that says that they are preparing the bid documents and all that. So I think it's just a matter of their process of bidding out the work, but it's supposed to be done this year.
Spring.
Yeah.
So you won't
Do
be
we
able
know
to get
what-
there from here.
Yeah. Do we know what the final design?
I haven't seen it.
I know
Which
what
is
our
irritating.
final design is on the
Well,
flat.
yours is like a culvert, right?
Well,
So-
it's not a culvert, it's a box culvert.
Oh, is it?
It's concrete and
He
it's
said it's
gonna
gonna be 2 lanes though.
It is gonna be 2 lanes.
Fishing things, so people don't stand.
Stand on the street.
I don't know. I don't know about that. We'll see. I asked for that,
Yeah.
but I
That's a
thought,
pretty
you know, I think
busy
they were
branch.
supposed to come back to us with like here's the final design. Let's have a public hearing.
Yeah, that would be nice.
They do their public hearings now online.
Yeah.
We're supposed to get a notice. I did.
Yeah,
But it was like
the one
4
online.
years ago.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't
When
know.
they originally said, oh yeah, we're gonna do that next year, 4 years ago, they had a public hearing and I went online and the
Yeah.
police chief went online and the fire chief went online and we all got online together and posted stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought after 4 years, they might want to have another public hearing with a final design. You know what? It's okay. If it's 2 lanes, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You know, get rid of the stop sign that no one stops at.
Unless there's a policeman sitting on the other side, which I've seen several times, so.
Let's just hope they put it high enough so it doesn't flood in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shut it down. Now on to fiscal year 25-26 warrant number for January 1.
Albertson's Printing, transfer station passes, $1,466. Blue Rock Earthworks, materials transport, $2,790. Central Maine Power, $6,225. Dennis K. Burke for gasoline, $1,288. Avian Oil, various accounts, $2,570. Thermal Industries demo, transfer station, $3,546. High Tech Fire Protection, annual fee, quarterly inspection, flow test alarms for the Compton Hall, $2,491. Maine Waste Energy tipping fees, $7,416. New England Salt Company, $5,325. And I will say this because Tony's not here tonight to tell you, we are currently very, very low on sand. We only have enough capacity to store for about 3 storms.
Right.
And they cannot deliver it until after the end of the month. So any snow that comes from now until, salt, what did I say? Sand, I'm sorry.
We got plenty of sand.
Salt. So if we have any significant storms through the end of the month, it's gonna be basically sand
We
only.
can't barter?
Well, that's-
They can't deliver it and the barge isn't available.
The barge is coming in and it's late. It's delayed.
Barge.
There's a barge that comes into Portland with
Yeah.
salt.
No. I mean, like, can we borrow some from?
I'm sure everybody's in the same
Yeah, everybody's in the same boat.
Same barge.
because we all
Same
get the
barge.
salt from the same place.
We just don't have any storage capacity
No.
because we don't have an adequate salt shed.
Exactly.
Rinaldi Energy is fuel. I believe that's diesel for Public Works, $5,873. RCAM, $30,835. That's us transferring the heating fuel funds the town has been managing to RCAM to manage on Monmouth's behalf. Stools Auto Supply, $1,296. Hydro oil for one of the compactor trailers at the transfer station. State of Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, $9,154. State of Maine Inland Fish and Wildlife, $7,459. For a warrant total of $95,761.41.
I move the motion, we approve fiscal year 25-26 warrant of January 21st, 2026.
I'll second it.
Motion by Chris, second by Ayla to approve warrant. For January 21st, 25, all those in favor?
Yes.
Mark says
Mark says yes. Mark, when are you coming home?
Not this weekend.
Not anytime soon.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?